All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the VS Code live stream. My name is Sana. You've probably seen me on here a couple times. I'm filling in for the ever so charming Burke Holland, who can't be here today. Today, we've got an exciting demo for you and some new folks to bring onto the live stream, but just a couple of housekeeping reminders first. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. This way you get notified when we release our release live streams, do any more of these demos, even our shorts, all of it's on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe there. If you prefer TikTok and that's your video content that you like these days, we're also on there. So, follow us on TikTok. We make a lot of jokes and we share a lot of coding tips. It's all good fun. And then make sure you keep up to date with the live streams, and that's the link that you have already here. And with that, I think we can bring it up and invite our guests to the stream today. So I'm going to add in Anthony and Simona, and they're going to talk to us about Azure Static Web Apps and what that means and what is the Jamstack. The Jamstack is definitely not the bread of toast and like jam that I had this morning for breakfast. It's more than that. So welcome, Simona and Anthony.
Hi, Sana.
Hey,
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so what are you guys going to show for us today?
Well, before we get started, I just wanted to say hi to everyone here that's celebrating Navaratri. So Rashmi on our team today said that she's going to have some wonderful holidays this weekend, and I wanted to welcome everyone and wish everyone happy Navaratri. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly, but I hope I did.
Navaratri, thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for wishing us. All right, so go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're ready to go, just let's start with a quick overview of the Jamstack for those folks online that are not familiar with it. Basically, Jamstack gives a name to a set of widely used architectural patterns when building for the modern web, and it stands for JavaScript, APIs, and markup. And as a lot of you might already guess, JavaScript is the runtime for the Jamstack. And when it comes to APIs, and most commonly we refer to them as reusable APIs, and you're gonna, particularly in the context of the Jamstack, you're going to hear a lot about APIs and serverless APIs. And in the Jamstack architecture, we have strict decoupling between our front-end applications and our back-end services, and this usually gives us more autonomy when it comes to our deployment strategies and our development practices. And as you'll see in our demo in just a couple minutes, it also allows us to maybe include and easily integrate with third-party services and APIs like payment services, like authentication, or services like Twilio and SendGrid that allow us to send emails and text. Or even Anthony has this incredible demo that uses basically serverless APIs in order to query an API model that will tell you whether we're looking at a dog or a cat pic, which is definitely the best demo out there. Anthony has all the best demos. And then also markup. The Jamstack approach is to pre-build all of our markup upfront and pre-render it when possible. And then we end up serving it directly from a CDN. And you might be asking, like, why would we want to use the Jamstack when we're building web applications rather than maybe traditional practices? And I think there's plenty of advantages, but I just want to spend a bit of time to talk about a couple of them. So first of all, with the Jamstack applications, we get much better performance because our assets are pre-built and pre-rendered and then delivered from a CDN, which is a content distribution network, which usually has points of presence that are close to our users. They will automatically experience a much faster application and much faster website. And this also means that when our website becomes suddenly very, very popular and we face surges in traffic, we have the confidence that our application won't crash. We also get simplified developer experience. So the typical workflow that we'll see in just a bit is that a developer will push a change on to GitHub, and then the Jamstack platform will actually automatically build and deploy the application for us. It will globally distribute our content and our assets to locations close to our users. And because we're only shipping static assets, we actually don't have to worry at all about managing servers, about setting up maybe, let's say, nginx and like reverse proxying and compression rules and caching strategies. So all of that is actually handled for us by the Jamstack provider or Jamstack platform. And we don't have to worry about databases scaling to meet our workload demands either. When we're building serverless applications, usually we're matching that with either a serverless database that will scale depending on demand, or we usually pre-render and pre-build that content, so we no longer need to have access to that database. And finally, the last thing that I think is actually extremely important is the fact that Jamstack is surrounded by an amazingly vibrant community that is always eager to build a lot of tools and a lot of content and share best practices that others can use as they're getting started with the Jamstack. And in today's demo, we are going to look at how we can take one of the Gatsby starter e-commerce applications. So that's something that is open source. It has been built as a template by a fellow open source developer. And we're going to enhance that application with a contact form. And let me just bring up my screen here so we can actually look at this application. So this is the starter store, which is an e-commerce application that allows us to sell lamps, because lamps are awesome and we enjoy lamps. And for my fellow Danish developers, Heige is the best. But yeah, so selling lamps, and here we want to add the ability for our customers to contact us and send us a message saying that they love these lamps. And usually let me just inspect here. So I already have the form created here. And the next step would be for us to implement the functionality on the backend that allows us to actually send an email. So when I click send here, you will see that actually we get back a 404, which means that currently this route is not available on the server, so we cannot really send this message further. And you can find this application on GitHub. I mentioned that this is an open source project that you can get started with as well. We didn't build any of this, mainly the UI and everything else is built by an awesome open source developer. So Anthony, how do we think we should continue here? So I have my application running in my local here. It's in my VS Code, and ideally what we want to do is add a serverless API to this application, right?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Okay, cool. And for us to do that effectively, let me just invite you to my live share session. So I have generated a link here, and let me paste this in our chat. Let me know if you can get access.
Yep, sounds good. And while I'm opening this, you can go ahead and maybe add the API project.
Okay, let me go ahead and I'll do that by going to the Azure extension. So Static Web Apps already has a VS Code extension that has been built and allows us to either create a static web app as well as create an HTTP function. So I can go ahead and create a new function using JavaScript. Does JavaScript work well, Anthony?
Yep, works great.
Okay, and I'm gonna name this contact. And I can already see you in my project here.
I'm in there.
And do we want to share your screen now?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, cool.
All right, so I can see the exact same code that you're looking at. And I just need to find the project that you added. So you added an API project?
Yeah, and it should be in my contact index.
There it is. All right. I like how you just typed in there.
This is gonna be so much fun.
Nice. Yeah, this is actually how we chat. Like we actually don't use any other chat client. We just chat through live share.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go and get rid of this code.
What? No.
I know. And then I'm just gonna use this handy snippet here that actually you've prepared. And paste that in. And I'm gonna format it and get rid of this warning here. It's telling us that we're missing SendGrid. So what should we do? Should I install it?
I think we need to install it. I think we need to do that in the API folder, right?
Yep. I just opened a terminal down there. Let's see if I can type in here. I can. I just need to close this other one. How do I close this one? Oh, well. I'll just type here. That we're in the API. Oh, no. I need to request access.
Oh, do I want to give you access? What does it mean?
I don't know. So I can run any command on your computer.
Can you delete my desktop?
Oh, I can do more than that, I'm sure.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, I trust you. I trust you.
All right. Well, if anyone's watching, send me any commands and I'll paste it in here. I'm just going to confirm
that
we're in the API folder. And then I'm just going to go and npm install SendGrid /mail. And hit install. What happened? What happened? How do I make this smaller?
It says that
like
there's
something is missing here. How do I unsplit this terminal?
I don't know how you split it, but there's definitely an error that says that you're not, like the operation is not permitted for some reason.
Yep. Can you try installing it on your side?
Okay. We promise we actually did test this before.
Yep, exactly once.
And we're still getting the errors, so that's fun. Let me go into my other terminal and let's do this properly. Potentially, that was proper as well, but this is even more proper, right? npm install, and we said we wanted to install SendGrid at email, and it does do the thing for us right now. So we have the node modules in the API folder. So if we go back to Anthony's screen.
And then if you want to split it real quick, it's at the top. There's like the double at the top right.
I actually wanted to unsplit it. For some reason, I have this little space here that I can't use, but I'm just going to toss it. Okay. All right. So now we have like this is our serverless function. I think this is all we need to do. I think we can set some breakpoints here. Let's try doing that. And then we can see this in action. I think Simona, actually, I see that you have set a breakpoint as well. So we can just set a bunch of breakpoints everywhere. And then I think we can just go ahead and run it. I think you get to press the button on your side.
Yes.
And then both of us can see what's going on, which is pretty cool.
And I think it started. So we have our function running. We have our Gatsby application running. And let me just quickly, I think you should also, do you have access to my 4020 application? I think
Not
you
yet.
don't. Okay, let me just share that with you very quickly so I can share servers here. And Sana, if you want to show how I do that quickly on my screen, so shared services, I need to add here the ports where my application is running. And then now if we go back to Anthony's screen.
Yep, and I can see it on the side here. And I think I can click it. Oh, and it's opened a browser, but opened a different window. So I get to look at it.
Yay! Can we see it as well?
Yep. So this is actually, I'm actually browsing the site on your computer, which is pretty wild.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I can go down here, and if everything's working properly.
Okay.
So far, so good. Try to give my real email here. I make up one. All right, and it's like, hey, I want a lamp.
We all want a lamp.
All right, I'm gonna click send.
Okay.
Oh, and we hit a breakpoint.
What?
Did you hit a breakpoint? I hit a breakpoint.
I did. This is so awesome.
Yeah, this is so awesome. So you can do exactly what you typically do to kind of, debug your application. I see you kind of like been moving the breakpoint around, and you can see the locals and things like that on the side. Yeah, this makes it really easy to test out our application locally.
Wait, so you can actually also see the message that we're sending?
Yep.
Let me see.
I can see this on the side here. So this is our message.
Let me see. Can I edit it? And like, if you inspect it now, what does it say?
I don't know. What did you edit?
Did I edit it? If you hover over message.
Yeah, hovering hasn't been working for me lately.
Oh,
at least not in
okay.
live share. I don't know why.
Well, we're gonna see it in my inbox. Okay, so are we ready to play here?
Yep. Let it rip.
Okay, I'm gonna click continue, and of course there's another breakpoint there because we are so crazy about this live share thing that we're trying all the things. But before we show my screen, I think one thing that's worth stopping and talking a bit about is how extremely powerful this was. So we were literally in our Gatsby application, and I quickly used an extension to create a new serverless function, which created a folder called API and another folder called contact for me. And we were able to write some JavaScript code that then will magically turn into some cloud resources and like a scalable and auto-scalable actually API for us, without necessarily having to understand any of that for now. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Okay, awesome. So if we go back to my screen, I think the next thing that we need to do is look into my inbox and see if I actually got the email to make sure that this works. And I can see a message from DFSD. Anthony, did you send? Did you press
Oh,
send?
you know what? We might have forgotten to. Did we set the send grid key?
Oh, okay. No, we didn't. So let me just go ahead and do that.
We actually didn't set a breakpoint in the catch statement. So we would have. I think it would have told us.
I think, or if we, yeah. And if I look at the logs, I'm sure that it already tells us that, right? It says response error here, so and unauthorized. But hey, let's go ahead and do that again. Okay, so I added the send grid key here.
Yeah, you have to stop the thing from running and start it again.
Okay, let me do that quickly. Okay, so our Gatsby application is still running because we haven't changed anything there. And we have restarted our server here. Oh, really? We've restarted our static web app application. And going back into my contact, do you want to? Okay, you already did. Awesome. Okay. Did you send the message? I don't know. Let's go see it. Possibly.
Was there an error? What happened?
No error on my side, but I'm not seeing anything in the logs either.
I set a breakpoint and did it hit any of our breakpoints? This is live debugging right here.
Okay, I can see it now.
Okay, I just tried sending it again.
Okay. And did you send okay, I'm gonna add a breakpoint in our catch statement. Yes, this is successful. Okay, awesome. I can see that this is gonna happen. Check out this message coming from your website, I want LAMP. So now if I go, yes, Anthony sent you a message, be careful, do not trust Anthony. I've already trusted.
Why does it show up on every message I send? I don't understand.
I think SendGrid doesn't like you. Or my email doesn't like you.
Yeah, it's not just you. It's everybody I send it to. Even my mom. I don't get it.
No way. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do, so we've tested that it works. We've created a serverless API. And you can see that earlier I've tested this with Rashmi as well. And this is like team collaboration all together. So we want to push this to GitHub, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. First, I need to commit. Then I want to publish my changes. And it will also, because I have this GitHub extension installed for PRs, it will also ask me if I want to create a pull request. Of course, I want to create a pull request. And what will happen, Anthony, once I create this pull request?
It's going to kick off a build. And then what it's going to do is it's going to go and create a staging environment for us so that we can actually preview your changes before actually taking it live.
Okay, so if I go to GitHub, you're first going to notice the inconsistency between my light theme in VS Code and my dark theme in GitHub. And because Burke is not with us today, I felt like someone had to still be the person that uses a light theme in VS Code. So there's that. Okay, and if we look at the PR here, we can see that we have this Azure Static Web Apps CI/CD build and deploy job. And I can click in on details here. And it shows us the logs for the build job. And while this is happening, this usually takes about 5 minutes, I think, because this is a rather complex Gatsby application. So it has plenty of pages and there's a lot to build. So we're in the first minute here, but we can already look at the GitHub action, right? And kind of talk a bit through this. Anthony, do you want to explain a bit what's happening here?
Yeah, let's make it a little bit bigger so that I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty simple GitHub Actions workflow. There's just a single job in there that uses the Azure Static Web Apps GitHub action a little bit lower down at build and deploy to deploy our applications. So we actually don't have to do anything to tell it how to build it. For most apps, especially node-based apps, it just figures out how to build it. Same thing with the function app itself, the API. So it builds all that stuff, and then it pushes it to static web apps. And in this case, it's going to push it to the staging environments that is created for us automatically.
And this GitHub action and this GitHub workflow, this was not created by me. It was not created by Anthony. It was actually created automatically by Azure Static Web Apps and added to my GitHub repository. So all of this is happening automatically without me having to create a CI/CD pipeline or really dive deeper into GitHub Actions until I want to or I'm interested in. And I think the other thing that I love about the fact that we're using GitHub Actions for this CI/CD process is also the fact that now this GitHub Action workflow is in my own repository, and I can manage it together with my the rest of my code, and I can edit it as much as I want to. For our static web apps application to continue to be deployed, the only thing that really we need, as Anthony mentioned, is this build and deploy action. And what static web apps did for us as well was manage the secret creation so that we established this trusted connection between GitHub and Azure Static Web Apps, just like Anthony and I created the trusted connection via VS Code.
It didn't trust me that much, though, apparently. But yeah, so one thing we didn't show earlier on is that the same Visual Studio Code extension for Azure Static Web Apps allows you to create the app itself as well. So, so that's when this file was created, was when you first deployed it using the extension.
Yep, that's true. And if we go into the Azure portal, this is where we can also inspect the application that has been created in Azure, and we can see here that, like, before we were looking at shopathome.xyz, which is a domain that I own, and that I've configured this Gatsby application to use this custom domain, and you can do that easily. It's all managed by Static Web Apps alongside SSL, and all of the certificates are managed by Static Web Apps. And we can see here, and they're free. And we can see here our environments as well. So we're using my main branch as a production environment, and then our staging environments are really the previous. Here you can see the previous PRs that we've created yesterday. See, we tested this 3 times, Anthony, not once. Well, actually twice it was. Okay, and anything else that you think we should mention here or look into?
I don't know. I thought that was pretty fun. Anything else you think we should mention?
No, I think this is all. Our application is still building, so once it will be done, we should be able to see the new. Oh, there you go. See, it's done. So I should go back into my application here, and we can now see the new staging environment that's ready to browse. And we can see here that this is the auto-generated URL that was initially created when I created the static web app. And this 6 is the number of the PR that we've just created. Yeah, and I think that's all. Awesome. All right. Are there any questions that we should look into?
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I feel like this was a good, real like pair programming that we got to witness happen live in front of us. There were a couple of questions in the chat that I just want to bring up. First off, Simona, what is the white theme that you're using?
That's a good question. How can I tell?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's actually my favorite theme. It's created by Sarah Dresner.
She's done a couple, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we got that out of the way. So there are a couple of questions about like how, I guess maybe people are not as familiar with static web apps. So there was a question about like, could this work with like your Next.js framework? Can you deploy a Next.js website with Azure Static Web Apps?
Yes, you can. You can deploy a Next.js application as long as you're using the statically generated assets.
Okay. Yeah. So like it has to be a static Next.js website.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now.
And we're working on adding the behavior for server-side rendered pages as well.
Oh, that's exciting. All right, there was another question about maybe like related, but in like a different industry or a different like type of development about like Django and using that as a web framework. So that's like, you know, away from Jamstack, you're doing a Python web framework. If you guys have any context about like, hey, is that still popular today?
So I've used Django many moons ago. I believe that there's a way to use Django just as a backend application. So kind of have your Python APIs run in Django, and then you can decouple that from your front-end applications and create React applications or even Next.js applications and have those connect to your Django backend. But I think that's, I would have to definitely dive deeper into that. It's something that Django is something I haven't looked into in quite a while. Anthony, do you have you worked with Django recently?
Yeah, I have. So typically, like I think that a better way to maybe rephrase this question might be like, when would you go kind of like the Jamstack route? Because so in order for you to kind of take a Django app into the Jamstack world, you would kind of have to tease apart your front end and your back end. So you would put your Python code into serverless functions, which we support as well. And you would build a Next.js app or some other React app or Vue app. And you kind of separate the two and deploy them together. So Simona, do you have any thoughts about when would you, go with like the, I wouldn't say traditional, but the more typical server-side rendered application versus, the Jamstack?
Well, I would say that maybe if you already have an application that's built with Django, that's definitely when you would be continuing to use that. If you have your team that's experienced in using Python, both on the front end and the back end, then probably that's when you would choose to use Django. But other than that, I mean, I'm drinking the Jamstack Kool-Aid. So I would definitely recommend starting to think about how can we separate the two and use this architectural pattern.
All right. So I think we're at time, but thank you both, Anthony and Simona. We're going to put the link to a tutorial and like the getting started docs for static web apps if you haven't tried it yet. So feel free to go to this link and completely take in what Simona and Anthony were talking about today and try it out yourself. Build your first static web app. All right. So thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, everyone.